You will not miss a single major political or economic event. Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
Algeria has reaffirmed in New York its firm commitment to implementing the UN Global Counter-Terrorism Strategy and relevant Security Council resolutions, expressing its willingness to share its experience in support of initiatives aimed at eradicating terrorist threat. Several personalities, including the spokesman of the Palestinian presidency Nabil Abu Rodeina and the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, have condemned the approval by the occupation authority to build more than 3,400 housing units in occupied West Bank. And in Sudan, a group of Sudanese doctors have warned of an imminent humanitarian catastrophe in El Fasher due to the collapse of the health sector in the country. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. First, in our news, Algeria has reaffirmed in New York its firm commitment to implementing the UN Global Counterterrorism Strategy and relevant Security Council resolutions, expressing its willingness to share its experience in support of initiatives aimed at eradicating the terrorist threat. Masoud Sharfi has more details in this report.
During a Security Council meeting on the issue threats to international peace and security resulting from acts of terrorism, the representative of the delegation of the Permanent Mission of Algeria to the United Nations reaffirmed Algeria's commitment to the UN counter-terrorism strategy, readiness to share its experience, and stressed balancing security with sustainable development.
Algeria renews its firm commitment to implementing the United Nations Global Counter-Terrorism Strategy and the relevant Security Council resolutions. We also affirm our readiness to share our experience and to support initiatives aimed at eliminating the terrorist threat. We stress that any effective fight against terrorism must strike a balance between security and sustainable development, stemming from our firm conviction in the fundamental principle, no development without peace and no peace without development.
Algeria's representative also stressed that the fight against the terrorist threat requires a comprehensive and coordinated approach based on several axes, including addressing root causes, countering technology misuse, cutting financing, enhancing regional cooperation, building local capacities, and promoting community-based prevention.
Confronting this threat requires a comprehensive and coordinated approach based on 6 main pillars. First, addressing the root causes by combining security arrangements with development initiatives and providing genuine opportunities for all segments of society. Second, strengthening the response to technological challenges through coordinating international efforts to counter the terrorist use of advanced and emerging technologies. Third, drying up the sources of financing for terrorist groups. Fourth, reinforcing cooperation with regional organizations, foremost among them the African Union. Fifth, building sustainable local capacities. Sixth, implementing community-based preventive initiatives that address the local drivers of violent extremism.
In this respect, he stressed the need to cut off terrorist financing, a key driver of recruitment, and called for stronger cooperation with regional organizations, notably the African Union, with its institutions such as the ACSRT and Afripol, noting that regional bodies are best placed to address their own security threats. Algeria's representative emphasized the need to address technological challenges through international coordination and support for developing countries, while also highlighting that lasting success depends on strong institutions, effective partnerships, and community initiatives that raise awareness and shield youth from extremism.
And representing the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Minister of the Knowledge Economy, Startups and Micro-Enterprises, Nuruddin Waddah, is taking part in the proceedings of the Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD 2025, which began yesterday in Yokohama, Japan. Mr. Sharfi again.
Algeria's participation highlights its commitment to strengthening its international presence, supporting Africa's development through strategic partnerships with Japan and other countries, and reaffirming its role as a hub for investment, innovation and entrepreneurship. On the occasion, the minister will hold high-level bilateral meetings with Japanese and African officials, as well as discussions with international figures and representatives of economic and financial bodies, in addition to startup actors to explore partnerships in expertise exchange and tech projects. TICAD 2025, organized with the AU, Japan, the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and the World Bank, brings together representatives of 55 African countries and focuses on innovation and entrepreneurship. This conference aims to strengthen cooperation between the various stakeholders and to explore new ways to achieve the goals of the African Union's Agenda 2063 and the United Nations 2030 Agenda, particularly in connection with three main pillars of TICAD: the economy, society, and peace and stability.
And the Minister of State, Minister of Energy, Mines and Renewable Energies, Mohamed Arqab, has inaugurated several facilities in the hydrocarbon production area of Tinfouye Canbicort in the province of Illizi, according to a statement from the ministry. The inauguration of these facilities took place during a work and inspection visit carried out by the Energy Minister at the head of a large delegation comprising the CEO of Sonatrach, Rashid Hashishi, senior executives of the group, and the Secretary General of the National Federation of Oil, Gas and Chemical Workers, Hamu Turaya or Tuahariya, as part of the monitoring of energy infrastructure development and implementation projects in the region. Saeed Bougazi has more details.
The delegation began its visit with the inauguration of a new living quarters for workers at the In Amenas Regional Directorate, which is part of the pipeline transport activity with a capacity of 126 workers, including bedrooms, a canteen, leisure areas, and other facilities built to current standards to ensure the comfort and well-being of workers and improve their conditions. The delegation's second stop was at the Regional Directorate of the TFT Production Department, which is part of the exploration and production activity, where it listened to a comprehensive technical presentation on the management and development of the areas, as well as on the progress of production operations at the Tinfouye Tabencourt field, which is one of the strategic axes of the national hydrocarbon production system, according to the statement. The delegation also inspected a gas processing unit associated with the Tinfouye Tabencourt field, which undergoes periodic maintenance every 3 years to increase its operational availability with an estimated gas processing capacity of 4.4 million cubic meters per day. The delegation then visited the Ain Sila gas development field in the Illizi Basin, where it received detailed technical explanations about the gas processing complex. On this occasion, the minister, accompanied by CEO Rashid Hashishi, inaugurated the gas processing complex comprising 2 lines with a total processing capacity of 12 million cubic meters of gas per day, 1,800 tons per day of condensates, 1,600 tons per day of liquefied petroleum gas LPG, as well as a 125 megawatt power generation unit and 355 kilometers of gas pipelines. At the same time, a new living quarters facility in Ain Sila was inaugurated with a capacity to accommodate 220 workers, built by the National Civil Engineering and Construction Company GCB, a subsidiary of Sonatrach. At the end of the visit, the Minister of State and the CEO of the Sonatrach Group inaugurated an airport in Tinfouye Tabencourt, which represents a further milestone in the region's energy and logistics infrastructure.
And now the Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs, the National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, has received a phone call from the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kuwait, Abdullah Ali Al Yahya, according to a statement from the ministry. The telephone conversation was an opportunity to review the relations of brotherhood and cooperation between Algeria and Kuwait and the prospects for their strengthening in accordance with the guidelines of the leaders of the two brotherly countries. The two ministers also discussed the recent developments at regional and international levels. To the Middle East now, where the spokesperson for the Palestinian presidency, Nabil Abu Rodayna, has expressed his strong condemnation and his rejection of the approval by the Zionist occupation force or occupation authority of the construction of 3,400 new homes in the so-called E1 area in the occupied West Bank. Abu Rodayna said in a statement carried by the Palestinian news agency Wafa that this plan violates international law and international legal resolutions, notably Resolution 2334 of the Security Council, which stipulates that all settlements are illegal, whether in the Gaza Strip or in the occupied West Bank, including East Al-Quds. The spokesperson added that the occupation was defying several countries that had issued statements warning against the continuation of this expansionist plan and considering that this is a dangerous escalation that will lead to the complete separation of the north of the West Bank from its south. And UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has condemned the decision by the Zionist entity's Higher Planning Committee to approve the construction of more than 3,400 housing units in the E1 area of the occupied West Bank. The advancement of this project poses an existential threat to the two-state solution. It will separate the north and south of the West Bank and have serious consequences for the territorial continuity or integrity of the occupied Palestinian territory. The Secretary General reiterated his call on the Zionist authorities to immediately cease all settlement activities to fully comply with their obligations under international law and to act in accordance with the relevant UN resolutions and the advisory opinion issued by the International Court of Justice on July 19, 2024, adding that a ceasefire or an immediate ceasefire should be reached as soon as possible. Let's listen to him.
I must reiterate that it is vital to reach immediately a ceasefire in Gaza and the unconditional release of all hostages, and to avoid the massive deaths and destruction that a military operation against Gaza City would inevitably cause. Simultaneously, the decision by the Israeli authorities to expand illegal settlement construction which would divide the West Bank must be reversed. All settlement construction is a violation of international law.
And the Commissioner General of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, Philippe Lazzarini, has underlined that child malnutrition has tripled in less than 6 months in Gaza Strip, ravaged by nearly 2 years of a genocidal Zionist aggression. Since March, nearly 100,000 children under the age of 5 have been examined by UNRWA. In Gaza City, nearly 1 in 3 children is now malnourished, 6 times more than before the collapse of the ceasefire in the Palestinian enclave. Philippe Lazzarini